Chapter 8: Painting Through the Pain. News of Frida's success in New York City spread. She was asked to exhibit some of her work in Paris, France. So, in January 1939, Frida got on a boat and sailed to Paris. She was alone on the street because Diego was ill and couldn't travel. But Frida was more confident about going on her own this time. Her trip to New York had proven that people respected her and her work. She didn't need Diego to help her deal with people, the art world, or a big city. 17 of Frida's paintings were included in an exhibition called Mexico. The exhibition included her work as well as photographs of Mexico, pre-Columbian sculpture created before Columbus sailed to New World, and Mexican folk art. Frida was happy that her paintings were being shown with other things from her country. It was a good way for people in Paris to learn about Mexico and also about Frida. One of Frida's paintings in the exhibit was called The Frame. It was a self-portrait showing Frida with flowers and ribbons in her hair. Frida had painted it on aluminum, but the frame was painted on glass that was placed on top of the metal. On the frame are bright flowers and two birds. The prestigious Louvre Museum in Paris bought the painting. It was the first painting by a 20th century Mexican artist to be purchased by this world-famous museum. Frida could hardly believe it. While she was in Paris, Frida met some famous artists who lived in the city, including Pablo Picasso. He was one of the most well-known artists in the world, and his paintings helped create what we now think of as modern art. Picasso was impressed by Frida's talent and by her style. He liked that Frida dressed in native Mexican costumes and did not care about fitting in with the fashions of the day. Picasso gave Frida a pair of earrings as a gift. The earrings were in the shape of hands. Frida wore them in a self-portrait she painted 2 years later. Picasso also taught Frida a Spanish song called El Horfana. It became a favorite of hers, and she continued to sing it for the rest of her life. Even though the Paris art world loved her, Frida was ready to go back to Mexico. But when Frida got back to the house in San Angelo, she and Diego argued more than ever. Frida loved her husband, but Diego had been sick for the past 3 years and hadn't done much of his own painting while he was ill. Perhaps he was angry with Frida because she was becoming so successful. Frida decided that the only way she could still work and stay friends with Diego was to move into her parents' home, the Blue House. Finally, at the end of 1939, Frida and Diego decided to get a divorce. Frida created some of her best work during this time, including a painting called Las Dos Fridas, the Two Fridas. It shows two Fridas sitting next to each other and holding hands. One Frida is in a stylish white dress. The other is in a traditional Mexican costume. Both Fridas have their hearts on the outsides of their bodies. It isn't an easy painting to look at, but it was Frida's way of showing how upset she was about the divorce and not being with Diego. Most of the paintings that Frida did during this period were self-portraits. In these paintings, Frida looks straight out, always very serious. Some of them show just Frida's head and shoulders. Others are filled with symbols that reveal what Frida was feeling and thinking. Self-portraits. Of the almost 150 paintings that Frida created, over half of them were self-portraits. Frida said she painted herself more than any other subject because she knew herself so well. She never smiled in her self-portraits. It is said this is because she had bad teeth. Her serious face gives the paintings a certain solemn feeling. It is perhaps a message from Frida that although she loved having fun and enjoying herself, much of her life had been spent in pain and overcoming hardship.